So the 8BitDo Ultimate gets up to 4 times, yes, 4 times the battery of the PlayStation 5 DualSense. This is an 8BitDo Ultimate Bluetooth controller I bought 2 years ago. And this is an 8BitDo Ultimate Bluetooth I bought last year. And I know what you're thinking. Are these controllers really that good? Or is he a really stupid fanboy who made the same mistake twice? It's that time of the year again when Amazon and 8BitDo are aggressively pushing sales on these controllers. The ultimate controller for Switch and PC and Steam Deck. So today I'm going to do something different. I'm going to review this while I'm tearing this down. Because the real question is, after 2 years of use, have the features really held up? Is the controller really good enough to use 2 years after purchase? And more importantly, is the 8BitDo hype justified? Today I'm going to be opening this one up. And while I open it, I'm going to slowly tell you what makes this controller special and why I have two of these lying here. Okay, so here's the inside. And honestly, it's a pretty clean internal layout. Nothing looks cheap, nothing looks rushed, and nothing immediately screams, oh, this is a budget controller. I've used this controller primarily for PC gaming, using it with my Steam Deck, and couch gaming with my living room PC. This thing has been dropped on couches, I've taken it with me on travel, and used for very long gaming sessions. So this is not a first impressions video. This is a video after long-term use of both of these controllers and what my experience has been. First up, comfort. This controller is extremely comfortable. It's slightly smaller than your average Xbox or PlayStation 5 controller. And for me, the asymmetric layout, which normally doesn't work, actually works in this situation. I know layout preferences are subjective, and I personally prefer the one that comes on the PlayStation 5 DualSense symmetric layout, but this controller is kind of a hybrid between the Xbox and the PlayStation 5 DualSense controllers. And this feels just right for long PC gaming sessions. The textured back deserves special mention. It's grippy without being aggressive, it doesn't chew into your hands, and it doesn't get slippery and sweaty after hours of play. This controller was very clearly designed to be held for a long time, not just tested for 5 minutes. Okay, let's talk about the rear buttons. The rear buttons are another big win, especially if you have smaller hands or if you don't like using your middle fingers on the triggers. I remapped my L1 and R1 bumpers to the back buttons, so I use my index fingers as triggers. This is the perfect way for me to play, and I hate using two fingers on each side. It kind of doesn't balance very well. And unlike a lot of pro controllers out there, these rear buttons actually feel like it was built with that in mind. It doesn't feel like an afterthought. Once you get used to the setup, it's genuinely hard to go back. Let's talk about the charging dock. The charging dock is, without exaggeration, the best feature of this controller. It hides the 2.4G receiver, and it does a phenomenal job of always making sure the controller sits exactly in place. It charges the battery pretty fast, and I've never really run out of juice. That's genius. No dongles sticking out of your PC, no external wires, no losing it, no really thinking about it. And the best part, you can really use a USB Type-C to charge it, but the charging is so fast and it's so convenient. Like I showed you, you can just toss the controller on the dock, sideways, crooked, and it always lines up well. This is how every controller should be. Please, Sony, I'm begging you. And since we're on the topic, let's talk about battery life. The battery life on this controller is actually amazing. I had sessions where I'm playing 10 hours straight and I forget to keep it on the charging dock, and next day I'm still able to get 5 to 6 hours of gameplay out of this. Now compare that to my DualSense controller from back in 2020. This 5-year-old controller is able to get me about 2.5 hours of battery life, and this brand new PS5 DualSense I got this year is able to get me 3.5 to 4 hours. So the 8BitDo Ultimate gets up to 4 times, yes, 4 times the battery of the PlayStation 5 DualSense. This tells me two things. The battery itself is made of decent quality, and the controller is not wasting power internally. And for lazy gamers like me who just forget to charge their controller, this is a godsend. So for couch gaming, docked Steam Deck gameplay, or your living room PC, you can use this controller perfectly. Let's talk about the software. You get multiple player profiles as well as game profiles. Once you set up the controller, you're done. As soon as you switch games, you can use this button to switch your controller, and it actually switches the light based on and it switches this light based on the profile you're using. See? And trust me, this really works well. The 8BitDo software itself is, let's say, a little clunky and sketchy, but it does the job well. So you can handle firmware updates, stick sensitivity, button remapping, and recalibration all in the same software. And trust me, the recalibration might come in hand later on, which makes the next part frustrating. You might have noticed something. I have not yet talked about the defining feature of this controller, the Hall effect joystick. And that's not an accident. These are the famous Hall effect sticks. And yes, they're genuinely great at what they do. After 2 years, this controller has zero stick drift. None at all. But here's where the story changes. The Hall effect sticks actually prevent drift, but they don't prevent the L3 button itself from dying. And that's exactly what happened with me. The L3 button on this controller started malfunctioning since last year. And I've noticed that it doesn't really work most of the time. Sometimes it registers, sometimes it doesn't. And there's no easy way to replace it, which means for a lot of games, using this controller has become unusable. Meanwhile, my PlayStation 5 controller from November of 2020, this thing is still rock solid. It does not have stick drift. One of my DualSense controllers did eventually develop drift, which I got 2 years ago. So I have to say that I have experienced drift before. Stick drift is annoying, yes, but a broken L3 button, that kind of makes it hard for you to play. It's a deal breaker. Let's talk about the haptics. Do you see these haptic motors? These vibration motors explain a lot. The haptics here are mushy, low frequency, and honestly feel kind of cheap. The DualSense is the gold standard and is significantly better than this 8BitDo. But the Xbox Series controller is also slightly better. So I'm kind of disappointed, 8BitDo. I don't want you to put like an Apple tactic engine in there, but you can put better haptics. And since we're here, you'll notice that there's a big drawback to this controller. There is no headphone jack. This is not a deal breaker for everybody, but for couch gaming, and I'm so used to it on my DualSense, this is something I really genuinely miss. And it's one of these features you don't appreciate till it's gone. And finally, and this is a personal con just for me, and I knew this getting into it, but the Nintendo layout is actually the opposite of what we get on the Xbox layout. So I don't own a Switch, and I've kind of trained my mind to remember that these buttons are really reversed. So you can buy replacement buttons and swap them out. But you see here, as I open this controller, these buttons are not easily swappable. You cannot swap the X and Y and the E and B. 8BitDo does sell them. You can buy replacement buttons, but I've never bothered. So, in conclusion, is the 8BitDo Ultimate Bluetooth any good? Yes, it genuinely is. Comfort, battery life, dock design, rear buttons, top tier. But the stick durability issue, the weak haptics, and the missing headphone jack hold it back from being a 10 out of 10. For me, this is a solid 7.5 out of 10 after 2 years of use. And if you're buying this one, I'd highly recommend looking into the Ultimate 2, which has the better TMR joysticks. So is the hype justified for 8BitDo? Yeah, I think it is. Just know what you're getting into.